Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us in another live video. This week, I'm here with my co-host, Delaney Bravo. How are you doing, Delaney?
I am good. I got a sick kiddo at home, so it was a little bit of a rough night, but we're here and we're ready to talk everything Northeast Florida real estate.
Okay, well, it's real life, so sick kid at home happens, a lot of times when you have a young baby, so that's okay. I hope she feels better.
Thank you.
And so thank you for being here because I know there's a lot going on. So today we have a great show prepared for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. What we're going to talk about is how to get your home sold quickly. And the idea behind it is that there's a lot of our clients that might be thinking of buying a bigger home or upgrading or maybe buying a brand new home. You need to sell theirs first. So the idea behind it is to give you guys all the information that you need to get transitioning from the home that you're currently in to your new home that you would be buying. And then for that, Delaney is going to give you guys great information on what documents you would need to get prepared for that mortgage application when you go ahead to apply for your next home financing. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up with what's happening in Jacksonville this weekend. So I think it's going to be a great show. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I am going to share with you guys. Let me see. I'm going to present this. And then I'm going to share my screen and pull up my blog, which I'll link on in the comments so you guys can read more about that. But can you guys see that? Can that come through okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So today I wanted to share with you guys the 4 key tips for selling your house this spring. Okay. And I think this is not just this spring, but in any market, there are 4 things that you always want to make sure that you have on point to make sure that it sells quickly. And then for the most amount of money, of course. So number 1, you want to make sure that you give buyers access to your home. And this might seem like a no-brainer, but in real life, we see situations where there are dogs that live in the house and they need to be arranged to be taken out when there's a showing coming through. And a lot of times you don't know that you have the showing coming through until maybe just a few hours before. You could request for a 24-hour notice, but again, the more flexible that you are, the better off, because occasionally you might have the buyer that's just driving by your neighborhood and sees a for sale sign and says, ooh, I wonder if I can get in to see it. And that might be the buyer that's willing, ready, and able, and perfect match for your home. So we don't want to miss out on those opportunities. You want to make sure that you give the buyers the most amount of access. So if there may be things that we need to arrange from the very beginning, such as, taking pets out, maybe if you're working from home, maybe just figuring out, what's going to happen as a plan. When we do get those showings, that's going to be real helpful. Then on number 2, I wanted to make sure that you guys know, like, these decisions in real estate, I feel like they're made by emotion and they're justified with logic. Have you noticed that too, Delaney?
Yes. So you walk into a home and it's like you envision your family there. Where's the kitchen table going to go? You walk in and it's an emotional process. You're making the biggest purchase of your life, but that's where the real estate agent also can come in and really provide that logic aspect of saying, okay, this home is priced right. This is what, in the mortgage side, this is what the payments would be. So making sure the logical side, matches that emotional side. So 100%.
Totally. Yeah. And this is the type of thing that you only have one chance to make a good first impression. It works the same way as it does with people. When you first meet someone, you get a first impression just based on that interaction. So the same with the home. You're going to get your first impression based on the interaction that you have on your first viewing. So with that, you want to make sure that it looks as good as it can. And that is the reason why there is staging. And I always use staging in one way, shape, or form in all of my listings. They do a great deal to help that home sell a lot quicker. So there's professional staging that I know a lot of builders, every builder pretty much that's a reputable builder selling a big scale would be using staging and a model home. And it's not even necessarily because that model home is for sale, because a lot of times they're not, but they need to show the buyers how the home is going to look like once it's built. So it's interesting because a lot of times the same floor plan as the model home is the one that ends up being built all over the neighborhood, but that's because people can see themselves living there because the home is staged. So you want to make sure that it looks as good as possible on the inside from the very beginning, because first impressions matter. So yeah, so the same thing, the number three, just because, you know, it's such an important decision that you want to make sure that you're engaged emotionally, but you're also going to be justifying this with logic. So both aspects have to be fulfilled. And then you want to price it right. This is also critical because, you know, if you don't get this right from the very beginning, you could ultimately end up having to do price adjustments through the period of time that you're in the market. And that's kind of like chasing the market downwards, because, you know, you're just trying to appeal based on the number rather than, you know, all the potential that the house has. So you want to be able to balance that, you know, that how wonderful it is because of the location, maybe the upgrades, whatever's special about your home, but you also want to make sure that it's priced right. And that's where, you know, a great agent can help you based on what's happening in the market, based on the upgrades that you have, and just based on a lot of different things. And if that's something that I can help you with, I would love to. In fact, that's one of the things that I specialize in, helping sellers sell their home for the most amount of money in the quickest amount of time, and helping them buy their homes, you know, once that's so. So I can help you bridge those two situations real nicely. So
I do have two questions for you really quick.
Yeah, sure.
The first is, so I've heard multiple times that the spring is like you get a very big increase and influx in business, like, you know, as far as there's more buyers, there's more sellers. Is that true? Like, does it really vary season to season?
It does. We do see an uptick between the months of like March till like August or September. And that's, you know, that's going into, you know, a lot of different things. Obviously, the spring is usually when most buyers get their tax returns. So it's an opportunity for them to invest some of those funds. We also see right before school starts, you know, a lot of families need to be settled in before that happens. So it would make sense for them to move throughout the end of spring or beginning of summer to maybe, you know, just make sure that that's settled in. So yeah, we do see a seasonality with that. I'm sure you probably see that too with the mortgage applications during that time.
Yes, they're definitely increasing. And I know that our area, it's a booming market regardless. So we're going to see, like, you know, kind of more year round, especially in comparison to like up north where, you know, it's completely snowing for a good portion of that. I would assume that a lot of buyers probably aren't looking to be doing a moving truck and all of that necessarily as much during the winter months. But I know down here, it does stay pretty busy. But I know, especially with St. Johns County, being such a great school district and one of the top in Florida, we do get a lot of that during the, you know, with the school timelines there. And then I guess the other question that I had, or kind of thing that I've heard, and I just would love your take on it, because obviously I'm not on the real estate side, is kind of appealing to the senses. Like, so, you know, this, like the smell of your home, obviously, how letting the light in, letting, you know, how it looks, like that first impression on the outside. Like, do you find that kind of true too?
Oh my God, yes, that is such a great question. I'm so glad you asked that. Yes, absolutely. And I've seen this throughout the years that I've sold real estate in various different ways, but most especially with new homes. If you notice, a lot of times when you go into a brand new model home, there is a sense of smell, and that's on purpose. One of the builders that I used to work with, we had cookies that were delivered to our model home in boxes ahead of time, in big shipments that we just keep in the freezer. And the idea behind that was to bake fresh baked cookies every morning. Okay, which was kind of tempting to eat the cookies if you every morning. But what I would do is I would do a batch in the morning and then one in the afternoon. And I swear to God, like people would come in and it just the smell of a fresh baked cookie just made it feel homey. It just tended to, you know, extend the conversations that I was having. You know, it just made everything so much more comfortable. one little thing like that. And it wasn't just that one little thing, because behind that, there was the music playing in the background,
Ooh.
which was pre-selected for a reason, with certain playlists that will appeal to a buyer. So all of those things that are that I learned there, I try to blend into my residential listings, because those are things that anybody could do. You could pick a certain type of music that is going to appeal to what we think, the buyer pool is going to be for your home, and just have that playing, or have something that smells nice, when they come in through for the showings.
Nice. And I'm going to hype you up here for a minute. One thing I will say is, somebody who has as extensive experience as you do, especially with your background in both general real estate and new construction, like, you have to think, like, an individual real estate agent may not know all of those little tricks, but when you're working for a builder for so long, where they have, so much money going into the research of these types of things, like the cookies, the music, the light, like, you really have picked up, and it really puts you in a position to represent those sellers better based off of where you've been. So I definitely think that it gets you a step above. And I've seen that with how quickly that you sell the houses that you list. So
that is so sweet. Thank you. That's the nicest thing I've heard all week. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's really meaningful, because I really want to share what I've learned. I mean, I've spent more than 10 years selling brand new construction, and it was a very consistent thing. Every builder used certain proving techniques that were guaranteed to not just sell one house, but the whole entire neighborhood. So, if these things are consistent and are things that can be transferable to a one particular seller, those things work. And it was just something that just came really naturally to me. So I always try to blend that in. Anything that we can do to help that transition to get that home sold fastest is going to be the best, because typically when someone sells a house is because they're closing a chapter of their life. They're like ready to move on to the next thing. Or maybe even if it's not their home that they're living in, maybe it was an investment that they're ready to liquidate and maybe invest in something else. So it's an opportunity for a fresh start, I find. So the quickest that we can get them to that, then the quickest they can go ahead and get started on their next dream, which would be buying that bigger, better home per se, let's say. In that case, then they would need to get ready with the stuff that you're going to need for them. So I figured I'd transition that.
I loved it. It was seamless. So yes. So really quickly, and anybody who's interested, I can always send this to anybody who, might be looking at buying a home. And one thing I will say is, you can prepare for purchasing a home. It doesn't necessarily have to start when your lease is about to be up in 2 months. So one thing that's very important is, I tell people, if you are even remotely interested in purchasing a home, where most people are, that aren't currently homeowners, that's something that they want to work towards. But I tell people, even if you're a year out, let's go ahead and do an application. The reason I say that is because if there's things that you can do on your credit, for example, that could get you to a better spot. Even if you're like, I think I have a good credit score, I can run those simulators for you and tell you, hey, I would work over the next year on paying these things down, and that'll get you up to the next tier when you're ready to give you a better interest rate. So there's things like that. Or sometimes, if you might be in a position where you just started a second job and you're counting on using that for your income, and maybe that isn't allowed per the guidelines. So having those conversations way ahead of time will prepare you when you are ready to take that step. So when you're ready to take that step, or even before, here are some of the documents that a mortgage lender is going to ask for. And one thing I pride myself in is, I would rather ask you for everything that I may need up front than doing the dance with my clients of, hey, I need this, and then we need this 2 weeks later, and then we need this, and then we need this, and we need this. And that's very exhausting. when you are purchasing a home, there are a lot of moving factors. And Angela can 1000% attest to that, that there's, you're not only working on the mortgage side. And I think that's something that sometimes on the mortgage side, we lose sight of because we're not out there in the field going to the inspections. We're hanging back here doing all of the stuff behind the scenes for you. So, getting all of that stuff up front is important. So some of the things you are going to need is basically.
Lady, can I just say something really quick?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm so glad that you do all of this up front, because I don't think people realize that a lot of the stress when you hear of this horror real estate stories is usually because they didn't get everything up front. They weren't prepared. They didn't know what was coming up. So just taking a little bit more time on the front end could make the whole situation so much more pleasurable and, just easier to get through. And also eliminates any bad surprises in the future, because if there was a certain document that you didn't ask for at the very beginning, and then now you need it like when we're already under contract, and then that was a document that was like really important to the approval process, that could just ricochet in a way that we don't want it to. So thank you so much. And I think it's a great idea to just go ahead and get everything up front, because that way you eliminate surprises in the end.
Absolutely. And it really also comes down to who you use as your loan officer. And Angela would connect you with, me, and we would work through everything. But basically, as a loan officer, you are structuring a file. And if you have the experience, you already know what that underwriter is going to request. So my goal is to get ahead of that and already have everything that they need. That doesn't mean that an underwriter can't ask for something that we don't have in the file yet. So, but getting ahead of that and having the experience to know, okay, you're doing a VA loan. I already know we're going to need a pest inspection. We're doing you have bonus income. I already know we're going to need this. So that's really where the experience comes into play. And we don't have those surprises, because on the real estate side, there is nothing worse, and you can attest to this, than getting those surprises the week before closing. It causes so much unneeded stress for everyone, including the real estate agent and including the buyers. They're thinking about moving trucks. They're thinking about getting their kids in school. They're thinking about how much money they need to bring to closing. Then now they're told there's a curveball. It's just, we want to avoid that at all costs.
Totally. Yeah. We don't want to shatter anyone's dreams. If this is something that could be seen ahead of time, you could prepare, you could get that document faster. This is so much better. Totally.
Absolutely. And basically, I'm not going to go crazy in depth on these, but I kind of have a rule of thumb that I tell my clients that kind of simplifies this, because basically what we would do would be, if you're looking at a huge list of documents, it's a little overwhelming. And I'm very, transparent with my clients. Sometimes it feels like I'm asking for everything but a blood sample. And there's a huge list of documents, all of that. And so I try to condense that and go through everything with them. So what I have come up with is the rule of twos. So that's going to be kind of your guide to think about, okay, what will I need? We're going to need 2 pay stubs. So we need to cover a full 30 days. If you get paid weekly, we would need 4, but that doesn't really work in my fun alliteration. So most people get paid biweekly or, whatever. So 2 pay stubs, 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 2 forms of ID, and 2 months bank statements. So that's kind of, just in the back of your head, okay, I'm going to need 2 of everything. And it's going to come down to these 4 categories: your income, your assets, your credit, and other. So we need to show to the underwriter, you did your application, we talked, we got all your information, but we need to substantiate that with documents so that when you go to make an offer on a home, it's solid. I can call that agent who's listing that home, and Angela can also tell that agent the lender has checked out everything. There should be no surprises here. So, getting that rule of 2 is super important. And the only thing is on the green section here, it's just some more of those more specific situations. So, if you're self-employed, we would need slightly different docs. If you are VA, we might need certain docs. So those are things I would work through with you. But really, it's just kind of thinking about, okay, I need to tell a story to my loan officer based off of what my documents show. So that's where we would get all your documents for us to triple check that for you.
So when you do a pre-approval, Delaney, do you get this information during the loan application and then later on ask them to send that in, like the actual digital files, or you get the digital files too during the application too?
Yep. So when a buyer applies, and whether if it's on the phone, once I put it in the system, I will send the exact document list to them at that time. So I would run everything and say, based off of our conversation, we are pre-qualified based off of what you've told me for this amount. But for me to pre-approve and say, like, put that stamp on it, we need to have these documents. So it's really a back-to-back process. If they submit via our online system, then we have a really smart system. Sometimes it's smarter than me. It will automatically take the information you put in your application and it'll request the documents. So you'll know up front what we need, and then I can adjust those if we need anything additional. And then that's the difference between your pre-qualification, what you told me, and pre-approval is what you've shown me. So that's kind of when we would get those documents.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because there is a difference between the pre-qualification, the pre-approval.
Absolutely. Yeah. So any questions? I know she has my info at the bottom of the screen. Don't be deterred. Don't be scared about documents. It's really easy, and I'd walk you through it, and we do it together.
Yep, very easy. We try to make this process super easy for you. So all you got to do is really just reach out. And how do you reach out? You can call or text Delaney at the number that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. You can call or text me on the number that was scrolling on the bottom of the screen here. I'll put mine in.
Yeah.
And then you can always reach out to us via social media. You're probably watching this either on Facebook or YouTube, so you can always reach out through there as well. Yeah, we're here to help. So I hope this information was useful.
Absolutely. And let me go in here, and we got some fun stuff that is, coming up in Jacksonville. So let me get that up for us. Really,
that's next on our list. What's happening in Jax this weekend?
I know. Okay, let me see. Here it is. It wasn't coming through. Okay, now we got it. Now we got it.
Okay, cool. Let me see.
Might let me know if that comes up. Perfect. Okay. So I am going to this. I think that might be the first time I've said that, because in this, but yes. So Disney on Ice is coming this weekend to the Veterans, or the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. That's always a tongue twister. But I've been to it last year. What'd you say?
You said tonight. Yes, tonight.
Yep, tonight all through the weekend. So I'm going on Sunday. But they have, they're here all through the weekend. And if you have a kiddo, this is just, it encompasses everything. And I love that, because sometimes, they'll have the dinosaur stuff, and then they'll have, this and this kind of has something for everyone. And every kid might have their favorite movie. And so it's really a combination. So it has everything from, Moana, Encanto, like they put everything in there, and it's all ice skating. So they're doing the songs, they have all these props, they have all of these things, and they're doing basically a musical on ice. And it's so cool.
I want to go. I want to go. Are there still tickets left?
I think there are. Yes. And and they are not crazy expensive. Like, we got pretty good seats, and they weren't absolutely insane by any
Disney
means.
Usually can be expensive. Anything Disney can be, but it sounds like this one's not necessarily. That's great.
Yes. You can get the Disney experience without going to Disney. So I know that gets pretty pricey. So that's the first one that I wanted to highlight. And then this one I just thought was kind of cool. Oh, is it going to load? There it goes. So this is called the Car-B-Que Classic Car Show. First off, I saw that name and I was like, I have to put this in here because that's just so adorable. Yes. So it's a free event. It's a $10 donation per the plate for food, but the food is, is included in that $10. So pretty cool. This is going to be, it's April 1st, and it's rain or shine. It's at one church. So, and it's a classic car show, which I just find fascinating.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It is. Yeah. And they'll have a barbecue, different food trucks.
Can you take pictures with the cars?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm sure, because that's always a fun one too, to get like the pictures. I just find it so cool, like how they were designed and all of that. So I think, and a lot of times it's the car owners that are bringing and putting their cars in the show. So it's really cool to talk to them, because they usually have a fun story on how they got the car, or they're collectors. So just fun stuff all around.
Nice. That's cool.
Nice. And then the last one is one just for the adults we have here, is the San Marco Beer Fest. So I thought that was a really cool one. And they are going to have craft beer from 25 local breweries.
Wow.
I didn't even know there were that many breweries. So you do need a ticket for this one. This one is tomorrow 1 to 5, and they're going to have everything, the craft beers. And if you get a ticket, you get a souvenir mug, you get, all the things, and you would use that mug to have the tastings. You have live music. They're going to have multiple food trucks. They're also going to have axe throwing, which is really cool. And they're going to set that up within one of the bars that you would kind of go through. They're going to have all sorts of fun games. So I just thought this was really, really cool one for maybe like a date, a kind of a day date. And I know they're like, let's drink beer and let's get drunk and throw axes.
That's very romantic.
Exactly. So I just thought that one was, obviously really fun. So we got something for the kiddos, something for the family, and something for the adults.
I love it. This is so cool. Yeah, no, this definitely checks all the boxes. I think the Disney just sounds like amazing. I'm going to try to go to that too. Yes. In fact, I'm not going to try. I'm going to get the tickets, make it happen.
Yes, I love that. Look at that. See, I valuable information, right?
See, you're already benefiting me. I had no idea. And, my kids are going to love it. I've got 2 big Disney fans that I'm sure are going to absolutely love it. I had no idea this was going on. So hopefully someone just besides me also benefits from it. I'm sure they will. Thank you for bringing that. I appreciate you. All right, girl. So I think that just about wraps it up. Did we do everything we said we were going to do? We mentioned how to sell your home quickly, gave you some great tips on that. We also went through what documents you're going to need for getting ready to apply for your mortgage. And then we wrapped it up with what's happening in Jacksonville this weekend. So I think we covered everything. Hope this was a good show. It's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying these, Delaney. I'm so grateful that you're doing these with me.
Yes. And it's fun because, we go back and forth, and, content on real estate doesn't always have to be very rigid. So we do this just to have a conversation, let you guys know what's happening in our area, and also just touch on some of those things that are educational, but in a fun way. So we hope that it's valuable to you guys. And if you have any topics, like anything at all, if you're like, how do I do A, B, and C? Like, just let us know individually, comment on the video, and we can always work that into, our next week for you guys.
Totally. And, one of the things that I'm going to work on is starting to be more comfortable asking for help. So I want to take this opportunity to ask our audience for help. The best way that you can help us is by letting us know what kind of content or topics about real estate you want us to cover. Okay. So it doesn't have to be anything really big. I'm not asking you to buy a house today. I'm asking you to just tell me what kind of things you might want to hear about. That would be super helpful. Another thing that you could do for us is, if you maybe are not the one buying or selling right now, but if you know of any family members, anyone at church, at school, at work, in the community, as you're out walking your dog, that might be talking about refinancing Think of Delaney, you know, just think of this video, share it with them. They might be talking about buying a brand new home, you know, connect with us. Delaney can definitely take care of the financing. She's got all the wealth of experience and all the tools and resources that are going to help you get that financing. And then I can help you through the buying process. So I think that there's a lot of good that could come from this, but help us out, please.
Yes, yes. And even if, you know, the last thing I'll say is, you know, even if you're just scrolling and this is live right now and you just see it, just give it a thumbs up, because that really helps us to kind of boost everything up and get this in front of more eyes.
Yes, please give us a thumbs up. It's great to get the feedback on the content. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. Any parting words?
No, I just hope everybody has a great weekend. I think it's supposed to be beautiful out. And like we said, like, share, and let us know what you guys want to hear about.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Remember to be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.